one question I have, maybe shifting gears a little bit, is just on job interviews, because this is something you do some coaching for job interviewing for tech companies. And do you see this play a part in preparing for job interviews? Like, are people who are pushing back in interviews, do they do better? Right? I mean, my image is like, if you're pushing back to your interviewer, then that's maybe not a great thing, because they're asking, they're there to ask you questions. So it seems like there's probably some fine balance there. But talk about that. Like, do you have anything to say around sort of pushback in the actual interview process for a tech company or anywhere really?
Look, pushback, I think, has just received a negative rhyme to it for some reason. I mean, I've had interviews where I've pushed back, and it's really just about telling your story, right? Like, I've had people tell me, like I was interviewing for Sofi, for example, for a director level role. And one of the things my interviewer actually said is, hey, you have a great story and you have all the skills we need. My worry is that you've not done pure play consumer products, right? Because I was building ad products for advertisers, right? At this point, I could say, oh yeah, you're right, and just like shut up about it. Or I could push back and say, actually, that's not true. I actually think that I have all the experience required to be building pure play consumer products, because if you think about who a consumer is for Facebook, if I'm building who an advertiser is for Facebook, it's a mother who is just doing recipes. She's not really a business, right? Or a young college grad who has a page with memes, and that's the person I'm building products for. Now, if you think that product or that customer is actually a business, then sure, I don't have the experience. But I actually think that they're all consumers, and I'm building business products for consumers. Now, you can say that this is a pushback. I actually think it's a clarification, because that actually helped me get the job, right? And I actually followed this up with saying, I am not worried about this. What I am actually worried about my performance is I don't have fintech experience. And that's where I think I'm going to struggle. And that's where the interviewer was like, oh, don't worry about it. I think we don't need pure play fintech experience. Actually, what we need is someone who comes in and knows pure play product management and can build that culture in the company, right? And that's how we kind of worked through it.
Yeah, I like that example. Like, it's interesting though. So your response to him was pretty logical, and you had a specific example, like, actually, this is what I did, and it is actually relevant to consumer marketing, a consumer product. Where is the line between being defensive and then pushing back? Because I think if you didn't have that reason and you were like, no, I do have that experience, that would just be sort of a defensive.
Exactly.
It wouldn't be pushback, right? Exactly. It would just be defensive.
My suggestion is defensive is never the right answer, right? If you're being defensive, you're letting your emotions rule your reaction. Instead, you want to be curious. You want to know where the other person's coming from, right? Like in this case, I knew where the interviewer was coming from. He was actually coming from a place of concern that I may not be able to build the right product management culture in the company if I don't have consumer experience building consumer products, right? And I was just trying to solve for that, and also giving my opinion on where I think I will struggle, where I will need someone's support if I join the company, right? So I think never be defensive, right? Like it's very easy if there was someone else in this place and said, oh, I think this is a problem. Very many people will just succumb to it and like, oh yeah, this is a problem. Or they'll overcompensate for it. Like I've had people who have interviewed and they overcompensate. When I say, I think this may be a problem, or, this is where I think there's a gap. And people will overcompensate to say, oh, no, don't worry. I will learn this and I will do that and this and that. And really what you want to say is, you're right. This may be a gap, but here is how I think I can make it work. Or here are the other.
There's honesty. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be defensive, right? Like try to understand where the other person's coming from. And and then come to an agreement together. Maybe what the other person is saying is true and it may not be the right fit for you. And that's absolutely fine. Yeah. I've had so many places where I've interviewed a candidate where I didn't hire the candidate for the role that I was interviewing for, but because they left a memorable impression in my mind, I referred them to another role that I thought was a better fit for them, and they got hired in that role. So, it's a process. Like when you're interviewing, it's not just the company interviewing you; you're also interviewing the company and the role, and you want to make sure that there is the best fit there.